All right, we're here. Anthony, Andrew, it's Packers Roundtable episode 14, though we were just talking about it. It's actually episode 16 because we had the Eagles crossover as well as the Thanksgiving specials, I like to call it, kind of like how the Simpsons used to have all that kind of stuff. So we're similar to that. I don't know where to start, Anthony. I think I'm a positive fan, especially compared to our other occasional co-host Evan, who really, I mean, damn, he gets after it. Let's give him credit there. But I feel just kind of, I don't know. I feel like I've not grief. That's not the right word. I felt some grief when Micah Parsons went down. This is different. This is like a sick feeling to the stomach, and maybe it's something you understand as a Browns fan.
Yes.
So let's start there. What the heck are we doing? We need some therapy.
So, yeah, we absolutely need some therapy. I just think back to our last show when you started and you said, I'm only here so I don't get fined after what was a debacle in Denver. And I sat here and I waxed poetic about, hey, you're going to be okay without Micah Parsons. You're going to be able to win football games. And that was a disaster. That was 58 minutes of okay football, enough to win with a backup quarterback and enough to win in a tough environment against a really good football team. And then a total train off the track, massive just let down. That I couldn't believe my eyes, Andrew. I seriously could not believe what I was seeing. Everything that the Bears needed, like 20 different things to happen all perfectly, and they all happened perfectly for them to even have a chance to win the football game. And had the Packers done one thing, made one play, made one stop, it would have all been different. Instead, it was the craziest comeback that you'll ever see, man. I was stunned on Thursday or Friday night, whatever the heck night it was, Saturday night, and I'm still stunned.
Actually,
we recorded.
Yeah, you're so stunned you don't even know what day it is, and that's what it feels like. I think that's what it feels like to be a Packers fan. I've been like in a haze, like it's one thing to lose, and I wrote about this on Packers Roundtable, and I hope that other people agree with me. I think they probably do. It's one thing to lose. Okay, losses happen in the NFL all the time. It is what it is. It's a league full of parity, and you've got good teams everywhere. Even the bad teams got good players, right? So losses happen, but that was not a loss. That was a collapse. That was a collapse, and it's one thing when you lose a Tucker Kraft. And it's one thing when you lose a Micah Parsons. Those are injuries. You can't help those. That has nothing to do with talent level or skill level or coaching. But a collapse like this, and there's been some throughout the course of, let's call it the past 20 years. Obviously, the big one that comes to mind is the Falcons in the Super Bowl against the Patriots. But the Packers had their own. This is so reminiscent, of 2014 in the NFC Championship game against the Seahawks, where it was a botched, a muffed onside kick that really ended up turning that game around and losing them a chance to go to the Super Bowl. In this case, it lost them a chance to win the NFC North. And again, you just feel sick because it wasn't a talent thing. I think they had the talent to win that game. What does it come down to? I guess it comes down to coaching, because to me, that's a lack of fundamentals. It's a lack of concentration. What do you see out there?
No, I would say less about that. We were texting, after the game, and you put Romeo Doubs as the guy who's receiving the onside kick, and that's a guy who plays a violent position and for good reason is a little shy of contact, right? Like, I've certainly never sat there with 10 guys barreling down on me trying to take my head off, but it can't be a comfortable spot. You have to have an absolute warrior at that spot to field an onside kick. And you could see him hesitate and kind of let the ball come to him. The ball played him, and it took that extra bounce and it carried him away. That part to me was the major mistake, like personnel wise. Like if I'm going to tell the truth, like I actually think LaFleur called a very good game. I thought Malik Willis played very well, well enough to win. The defense played well enough to win, and it was like, how the hell does it come down to a onside kick where the guy receiving the football doesn't attack the football, the ball attacks him, and it costs the Packers a victory. Man, that's to me what was like the biggest thing that stood out to me is like why him? Why is that the guy who's fielding the onside kick?
Right. I just wrote about this too, and now I'm starting to get upset. So we're gonna work through it together. This is therapy. This is therapy. Romeo Doubs has had multiple concussions in his career, specifically last season. So they're not recent, okay. But he's one of only a few players, and especially one of only a few position players skill players who is so concerned about concussions that he wears a guardian cap. Yeah. That's typically something you see in practice, and you see it, along the offensive line a little bit. You don't see a ton of wide receivers with the guardian caps on, and they're not comfortable, I guess. I've never worn one, but that's what you hear. So he is so concerned about getting hit that he wears one of those, which is essentially a big pillow that goes over your helmet to protect your head. And Rich Bisaccia, who is the special teams coordinator, put him in that position to be the guy to take all that fire. And sure, they had blockers in front of him, but you still know you're going to get hit when you're in that position. You could see, like you said, he had his eyes up looking at the guys coming after him. Yeah. But for as much blame as Doubs probably deserves, does not the blame go back to the coaching? One, because they had him in that position. Two, I don't know if you realize this in the whole, just the craziness of it all. There was 3 timeouts left on the board from the Packers. And nowadays you have to tell the other team that you're doing an onside kick. You can see they're going towards Doubs. Why do you not take a timeout there and say, listen, let's rethink this? It's just unconscionable in my opinion.
Those are all very solid points. And like you think back to, or you think of the guys that would make a lot of sense in that position, right? I think honestly, with the way that these are set up now, like putting a tight end there would be really smart because they're a bigger body. They still have really good hands, good reactions, but they're a bigger body and they can take a really big hit. You could even look at putting a Christian Watson there. You could even look at putting a Josh Jacobs there, like whoever you determine. And this is going to be a catch-22 here, or I guess talking out of both sides of my mouth is like whoever you determine has the best hands on your team. And they probably said that was Romeo Doubs, but also has to be a combination of the toughness, right? And it's not to say that Doubs isn't tough, but like everyone saw it, right? He backed away. His eyes were on the guys coming to hit him, and the end result was the Bears recovering that football. And Andrew, at that moment, it was like you might as well put a touchdown on the board. Like you might as well do it because it was like, oh, we've all seen this movie 100 times. They are absolutely 100% scoring a touchdown, and are going to have a chance to either go for 2 or tie it up. And it's exactly what happened. They march right down the field, and then Caleb Williams makes an unbelievable play on 4th down, and saves the game for the Bears. Man, it all comes down to that one play, man. And I wouldn't even say, and Andrew, I want to get your perspective. I wouldn't even say the defense played bad. They had 2 bad minutes of football. Like everyone played good enough to win, except for that one play.
That one play, but that's football, man. You got to have the details. You know better than anybody, at least on this podcast. You got to have details. You got to have fundamentals. They say it's a game of inches, but it's not just inch lines on the field. It's every little detail matters, man. And okay, so let's go to topic 2. This is all Packers therapy. So topic 1 is going to go throughout the whole damn thing, but Rich Bisaccia still has a job, the special teams coordinator. You mentioned, why don't you put so-and-so on the field? Why don't you put so-and-so on the field? Josh Jacobs was actually on that line, but he was in the middle of the field. Luke Musgrave, the tight end, was there. They had the guys out there, but they had them positioned poorly. Now you throw in, okay, so take that away, right? Let's say that never happens. We still have multiple games this season that came down to kicks getting blocked. We all remember the tie against the Cowboys where extra point got blocked. The Cowboys ran it back for 2 points. You end up tying that game. We have an example in the NFC of a head coach of a good team in the Rams, Sean McVay, firing a special teams coordinator in week 16. Why can't Matt LaFleur do the same? If only to say there's a standard here. This is Green Bay. We are the freaking Green Bay Packers, and you're not living up to that standard.
It's so right, man. And it goes back to the first thing you said of like, these games come down to it's always a game of inches, and it always comes down to 1 or 2 plays. And special teams often get looked over because that's the time where you get up from your couch to go refill your beer, or you go to take a piss or whatever it is, and you're like, all right, hey, the kick's going to go through and or the kickoff's going to happen or whatever it is, and we're going to come back and the offense will be on the field or defense will be on the field or whatever. Special teams, the way that they've rewritten the rules is a massive, massive portion of this football game now. Mm-hmm. Kick returns are huge. Kick coverage is huge. Punt coverage is massive. And now you're seeing it an extra point. Field goals and extra points have always been the case. But you look around the NFL and it seems week after week after week, there's a kick being blocked or a good protection happening. Or, look at the Browns game. The kicker or the punter drops the snap right before half, and it costs him a chance to win the football game. And it's like stuff like that happens all throughout the NFL. And then you look at what the Rams did, and they fired Chase Blackburn in Week 16 after they got beat in a huge game that cost them the division. It literally, the exact same thing happened. It cost them the division. They wake up on Friday morning and they fire him, man. That's like the accountability thing. And I could hear both sides of like the actual firing part, but it's like, yeah, man, this cost you guys the NFC North, and you come out of it unscathed, man. That part's tough.
Maybe that's maybe that's the difference between a Super Bowl winning coach and one who's not winning the Super Bowl. Yeah. Because, and we talked about this last week, you have to have multiple different things and to be a Super Bowl team, right? You have to be healthy, you have to be hot. Those are probably the two biggest things. Obviously, you have to have talent. Either you have a really good defense or really good quarterback. Something about you has to be elite in most cases. But none of those things matter if you're poorly coached. And I'd love to hear your perspective on coaching in the NFL. I think some people think it doesn't matter, but I think it matters so much. There's so many different examples of this, but ultimately a team takes on the personality of a head coach. And that's true all the way from the NFL, all the way down to Pee Wee football. You are who your head coach is. And what we have in Matt LaFleur, and we've talked about it ad nauseum on this podcast, but we'll continue to talk about it, is that he's a good offensive mind. He knows how to play. He knows how to call plays. Mm-hmm. He's a good offensive mind. He, by all accounts, he's a good guy. That's something else that does matter a little bit. Yeah. But does he have the temperament in these big moments when things go wrong to be able to adjust, one, but then two, to make the decisions that really matter,
I think that coaching in the NFL, and this year is like a perfect example of how coaching is this football league, right? Yeah. These are all the most elite players ever to walk the face of the earth. Some of the most elite athletes to ever take a breath of oxygen on this planet. And everywhere you look, every player was the best player on their high school team. It was the best player in their county. They were the best player in their state. Every single one of them was that. And then they all get to this league, and the difference is the teams that are good are coached well, and the teams that suck are coached poorly. Mm-hmm. And look no further than the other sideline on Saturday night. The Chicago Bears last year were a dumpster fire, right? And they made the mistake you make to lose football games. Now they get a new head coach in there. By no means is that team perfect, right? They need a ton of luck to get where they're going, but good teams get lucky, right? You kind of, the Joker said you create your own luck, or I guess that was Harvey Dent, said you create your own luck. You do in those senses because you're well coached and you're always in the right situations. Look at Jacksonville. Liam Cohen has the Jacksonville Jaguars. They had the 5th overall pick last year, the 5th overall draft pick, and they're the best team second best team in the AFC. Behind the New England Patriots, who had 1 year with Jared Mayo, fired him, and brought in Mike Vrabel to completely and totally change the culture, man. Mm-hmm. It is a coach's league, and some of these guys, like you get these elite play callers, which Matt LaFleur is, and they can be great at doing that. It's really hard to be the CEO of a football team and do it. Some guys are good at it. Ben Johnson getting his first try at it. Liam Cohen's getting his first try at it. LaFleur had that flash in the pan early on in his career, but now he's showing that there are cracks in the dam where, hey, in those in those areas, the margins we talk about, the Packers are coming up short, and they've been doing it for his whole entire tenure. And that's where you got to ask those questions of like, is he fit to be a head coach?
Yep. I think there's another interesting example in the NFC North talking about Ben Johnson. Look at the Detroit Lions. They lost 2 really good coordinators. Johnson was one of them, the offensive coordinator there. And you have another example of a type of coach in and Dan Campbell, who you could say is more of kind of like your CEO type coach, your rah-rah, who kind of gets everybody on the same page and motivates them. But I don't think he's ever been necessarily known as kind of your X's and O's guy. Yep. And now he's being tasked in Detroit of not just being the rah-rah guy, but also running their offense. And we've seen their offense really struggle. But it also, I think, just goes to show you how good Ben Johnson might have been. He's really got the Bears playing not just good football, but confident football. There's a difference in there.
It's an amazing difference because a lot of their wins, a lot of their wins are these miraculous comebacks. You think back to the Bengals game where they had the freaky finish against Joe Flacco, and this past game they had a crazy finish early on in the season against the Raiders, right? And you look back, and sometimes you go throughout a year and you forget some of those moments. Like, had they lost to the Raiders in September, we're having a whole different story about them. But instead, they fought back, won it, built a little confidence there, built a little confidence the next week, and then when the chips were down against to go take the lead in the NFC North, they had been there, done that. They did all the right things in those final 2 minutes and got the job done. Man, it was certainly a tale of two coaches, but on Saturday night.
So again, my question is, why does Rich Bisaccia still have a job?
It's a good question, man. I would say like the one reason would be like, hey, we're poised for a playoff run. It's too late to switch it, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like you pick your poison, I guess, if you will.
This team might not even make the playoffs right now. There's a world in which that doesn't happen, and I know
that's a realistic world. What is that scenario?
I don't know. We'll go through it here in a little bit. We'll play through it. Let's go to topic number 3 because I think this is important, and we've hit on it once or twice, a couple times. Jordan Love, Malik Willis, both quarterbacks are a little bit banged up right now. Love is in the concussion protocol, and I believe Willis has some kind of shoulder issue. He took a pretty big hit there at the end. You mentioned Willis played a really good game. Mm-hmm. I'm not talking quarterback controversies because that's not how this league works. Love was paid. He's played at an MVP level at times. Willis, but Willis is damn good backup, man. And I'd love to hear your take on Malik Willis.
Yeah, he's a guy that, and I promised I'm trying not to talk about the Browns every episode, but he's a guy I literally wanted Cleveland to trade for in the offseason. Like she has shown that under Matt LaFleur and behind Jordan Love, that he's progressed into becoming a very solid backup NFL quarterback. And he comes from Liberty. He got drafted by the Titans, and they probably overpaid for him and just never worked out there. But he's got the goods, man. He's athletic in the pocket. He's accurate as hell when he's decisive. And he finished the game 9 of 11, 121 and that touchdown. And Andrew, the part that was really kind of standing out to me was he just was doing making all the right decisions. And that's what you want out of a backup quarterback. He didn't come in here trying to hit the home run on every single play. He came in here, took his checkdowns, got the ball where it needed to go, operated in the offense. And then when he needed to take his shot, he took his shot and hit that big touchdown. And you're like, okay, that's how you come in and play the position of quarterback. And I was really, really, really impressed. And frankly, Andrew, not surprised in the least that he came in there and operated with that type of efficiency.
Yep. We saw it last year a couple times where he came in and he actually won them a couple games. He started some games in the beginning of the season while Love was hurt, and he came in against Jacksonville and won them a game. He's a 26-year-old quarterback, 6'1", 225. I think Jordan Love's a decent athlete for a quarterback, but he pales in comparison to just the type of athlete that Willis is. You can tell he's just got that extra burst of speed. My question, Anthony, and I think this is a question being thought of around Packer Nation is there a world where you take a good play caller like Matt LaFleur and say, hey, Matt, why can't we have a couple series here or there of Willis and see if he, in those moments where maybe the offense is stalling out, that he can't give a boost?
Yeah, I understand the thought. You just can't do that in the NFL. Quarterback, you can't do that at any level, honestly. Like if I coached Pee Wee football, I wouldn't have a quarterback, or I wouldn't do that because quarterback's so hard to begin with. And then, and I experienced this when I played. Like if you're in a situation where you're telling Jordan Love, hey, if things start to slow down, we're going to put Malik in. And maybe you don't even tell him that. Maybe you do it once or twice. And now guess what's in his head? Now in his head, it's like, uh-oh, if I make a mistake here, I'm out, right? Their coach is going to yank me. So that takes away from, hey, you're gonna really challenge the field less. You're gonna try to play perfect as opposed to just playing the position. I understand the thought and understand the question. You simply can't do it because it just kills the confidence of your guy. And we've seen enough out of Jordan Love where you're like, hey, this guy can do it. I wouldn't even flirt with that idea, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I think, especially in 2025, the NFL is still a passing league too. Now, if we were playing a different brand of football or something, maybe you have that conversation. But
Andrew, I'd also add too, like it's such a weapon that if something does happen to Jordan, and he does have to come in a pinch in a playoff game or whatever it is, you're confident in that, right? You're confident that you have him there. Yeah. You simply you can't go, you can't be giving him real legit snaps while Jordan's, fully healthy there.
It's the old adage that if you've got one quarterback, you've got one, but if you got two, you got none, right?
That's right.
Were you ever QB2 in your career?
Never QB2, but I started my junior year. I started playing pretty poorly. I started the year off really bad. Basically, like I had a stinker in week 1 and a stinker in week 2. In the backup, my backup, he actually coaches for the New England Patriots now. We were basically equal, right? We were equal, and I got the nod because I started the year before. He's better athlete than me, probably had a little bit more live of an arm. I probably processed maybe a touch quicker than he did. So we were very similar from that perspective, but I got yanked in week 2, and then it's in your head. It absolutely kills you. And it's really, really, really hard to recover from. And it makes for an uncomfortable room. It also makes for a very, very tough, I guess, mental headspace when you're out on the field.
So he's coaching for the Patriots, who are, maybe a Super Bowl team, and here you are on Packers Roundtable, huh?
Can you believe it, man? Can you believe it, man? Funny enough, he started his coaching career at Middle Tennessee State, and one thing led to another. He was on the Ohio State Buckeyes staff last year, won the national championship, got promoted or got an opportunity to go to the Patriots, and they're maybe going to go play for a Super Bowl. We tell him he's riding a golden magic carpet because everywhere he goes, he makes it happen.
What's this guy's name?
Riley Larkin is his name. Look him up.
Riley Larkin. Shout out to Riley Larkin. Good for you, man. Good for you.
He's the man. He is absolutely, positively the man.
Let's go to topic 4. Are there any positives to take away from that game? You mentioned it. The defense played good. I thought Love barely played. Willis played good. Emmanuel Wilson, the backup running back, 14 carries for 82 yards. There's got to be something, right, that you can take and say, okay, we can maybe build off this.
It's tough. It's a results business, right? This is a results league, and you're too late in the season to be taking moral victories. I would say this. I'd say the one positive, Andrew, and this is kind of out of left field, but the one positive is that it's kind of looking like there's a really good chance that it's going to be Bears-Packers in week 1 and in Soldier Field, and it's that big brother syndrome, bro. It's like, oh, the Bears did what they needed to do to win the North, and their reward for winning the North is an invite to the Packers to come back to crush their dreams. I would say like that's in my head, that's literally the only like positive thing you can kind of take away from it.
Okay. I think we saw a few things that are worth expanding on. This was the first game without Micah Parsons, and I thought that defense played pretty good. If you just take away all the bull crap, right? They gave up 9 points through a large, up until 2 minutes left in the game, 9 points to Ben Johnson, who's a heck of a play caller and a pretty good offense. Now, they didn't have Roman Dudenze and all that, but still, they gave up 9 points. I thought they stopped the run pretty well, and the pass rush was underwhelming. We kind of thought that would be the case. So I'm going to say, just to make myself feel better, that there is a positive and that maybe this defense won't fall off a cliff like initially we thought it might with the loss of Parsons.
Yeah, and like this isn't to toot my own horn or pat myself on the back, but it's kind of the conversation we had last week that, like, yes, having an elite pass rusher is unbelievable, and it does give you that next step and the ability to get to that next level. I don't think losing him is the end of the world. Like I truly don't. What was your perspective? One of the best things the Packers do is run the football, and Ben Johnson's got a very strategic attack, and he's very calculated in what he does. And like you said, I even thought it too. Like they're stopping the run and they're doing a good enough job against it. Did you have a similar thought and feel as that game was kind of floating along?
Yes, I thought they did a great job. You have to remember they've got two really good linebackers in Jahdae Walker, Edgerrin Cooper. They didn't have Evan Williams, who's a very physical safety. But the one thing I will say Brian Gutekunst, the general manager, did when Devonte Wyatt went down a couple weeks ago is he brought in just some big bodies, just free agent guys that you could just throw up at the line of scrimmage and say, hey, just go plug some gaps and let these athletes behind you do their job. So
Andrew, I'd also say too, like Hafley's approach to that game, and they talked about it on the broadcast a lot. Like he was pissed off about it all week long. Like, he's like, we're gonna miss Micah, but we're more than Micah. Like this is a full unit. And he's like, I'm sick of hearing that we're gonna suck now because of Micah. And he kind of used that as motivation. And I thought they had a great game plan. I thought they came out and played and fought their asses off.
Yep, I agree. All right, so maybe let's end this on a hopeful note. Remember, who was it? Jim Mora who said playoffs? Was he the guy? There was a guy
about playoffs.
Yeah, we're talking about playoffs. So I'm looking at an article right now from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel that says, according to the New York Times playoff simulator, the Packers still have a 94% chance of making the playoffs. So that feels a little high for some reason, but it's still possible. And the biggest thing right now is they could actually make the playoffs and be that 7th seed without winning a game.
Yeah. Because
they can make it if Detroit loses to the Vikings here.
Yeah.
Let's talk big picture because I don't want to get all that. That hurts my head. All that. Well, if this person wins, and let's just talk big picture. Do you see a team that can win a game? I think I could see a team that can go back to Chicago and win a game, but outside of that, I'm not sure if this team has what it takes to make a big run.
Yeah, a run is tough, and truthfully, we're going to learn a lot about them on Saturday when they play the Ravens, right? Because they've been in this. You go Lions, Bears, Broncos, Bears. Like that's three really good teams, four really good.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a stretch right there. And the Ravens are not the Baltimore Ravens of like you should be terrified of them. They are very good. They're a little bit broken right now, and Lamar's definitely hurt. They're not that dominant team. So they do, Andrew, have a chance to go get a win at home on Saturday night, and then they have a chance to go to Minnesota and get a nice division win to feel confident going into the playoffs. Like, hey, let's get a couple wins under our belt, right? Because you go on a 2-game losing streak, feels like the world's falling. It will be hard, man. If they get the Bears in the first round, it'll be tough. And then everything after that, you're playing elite football teams, regardless. The top of the NFC is unbelievable. It's a good question. I wish I had the crystal ball to say, can they beat Seattle or can they beat LA? When I say it out loud, my initial jerk reaction is no. Those teams are on a different level than the Packers, and the Packers are dealing with a horrible stretch of injury luck too.
Yeah. I think if you have Micah Parsons, if you have Tucker Kraft, if you have Devonte Wyatt, if you have Elton Jenkins, if you have – now, granted, what team can say they make it all the way to Week 17 fully healthy? Nobody can in the NFL. We talked about that last week. But I think you see the cornerstone pieces of a Super Bowl contender in those players we just talked about. Heck, we don't even know if Jordan Love's going to play this week, right?
You don't even know if Malik's going to play.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. Yeah. I mean, it could be you out there. Which would be awesome.
I'm ready, Coach.
I'll tell you what, that'd be great for the podcast.
It would work for the pod. We'd have a couple of viewers. It'd
be real good for the pod. We'd go from both of our dads to maybe a couple more viewers. I think you can see the makings of a Super Bowl run with those players, but health is just, like I said, health is so critical when it comes to make, and it's never the best, very rarely the best team that wins the Super Bowl. it's always the team that is healthiest and hottest. And if I could teach anybody about the NFL, that would be the one thing I would say is, you can, and we talk about this, you can win or lose as much as you want in September and October, but once you get into November, December, that's when it really starts. That's football at that point.
Yeah. It's dead right. I'm looking right now, and in those months, November and December, the Packers are 0-1, 0-2, 1-2, 2-2, 3-2, 4-2, 4-3, 4-4. So yeah, in those winning months, you're 500, man. And the worst part is they're losing guys left and right.
Yep.
And that's the part that sucks about. It's the part that sucks about the NFL. You could have the best roster ever, and you get a couple guys hurt, and it changes the trajectory of everything, man. You got to string it all together to have one of those magical runs, and it just doesn't feel like that's the case for these.
Or you could just run into the New York Giants with
Eli Manning. Literally. Talk about healthiest and hottest, man. They were healthy, and they just got hot, and twice, and went and got it done.
Yeah, well, I don't think Eli Manning is going to be running through the door anytime soon, unless he's that Chad Powers guy.
Or they could be the New York Giants. They stumble into the playoffs.
He could.
And then they get Jordan Love catches fire and becomes Superman, and they become the best team ever.
It's easy to forget because it was 15 years ago now, but the Packers were the 6th seed when they won the Super Bowl, and Aaron Rodgers was not yet that MVP superstar. And
there we go.
And he came into his own, and the rest is history. And we're still talking about it now fondly. It's been so long though.
You say the Aaron Rodgers word. What were the feelings? What are the feelings like when you guys watch AR playing for the Steelers right now? It feels like he's getting hot again.
It does. It feels like, and especially it was kind of fun watching him against Detroit. There was this thought that came across my head when the Lions were driving at the end there, that they would get the lead, but just with enough time for Rodgers to get a Hail Mary attempt on the other side,
and do it again.
You can see it all kind of playing out. And the way that game, what a crazy weekend of NFL football, right? The Seattle game, the Lions game, the way that this game against the Bears played out, Packers-Bears, it was crazy.
And even as we record this right now, Phillip Rivers has I had it pulled up. Phillip Rivers has nearly 200 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first half against the 49ers.
Okay. So
he's ripping.
If Phillip Rivers can do it, Aaron Rodgers can do it, right?
Yes, absolutely. He looks like he's coming back into his own. It's tough for me to watch as the I view the Steelers the way Packers fans view the Bears, but he is ripping it around, and that team, that's not a team you want to face, man, especially when he's starting to heat up.
So let's finish it off with kind of a fun topic. What do you think? We're just a couple weeks away from the playoffs, man. What are you envisioning here? We don't even have to go all the way to the Super Bowl winner. Let's just talk who we think is going to get there.
This time of the year is absolutely the best, right? When we're starting to nail down on the playoffs.
Yeah.
And the playoff picture in the AFC is pretty much set. Especially if Indianapolis loses tonight. And then the playoff picture, and there's one spot left in the playoffs in the NFC. Well, I guess 2 spots. You got the Panthers or the NFC South, and then that final spot between Green Bay and Detroit. Man, it's the NFC's loaded. The NFC is super duper loaded. Seattle, LA, San Francisco, I think are all great. You don't want to touch Philly with a 10-foot pole. The Bears are the hottest / luckiest team in the entire league. And there's going to be no easy game in the NFC. The AFC side, the hottest team, the team I probably want to face the least, Andrew, is the 7th seed Houston Texans. That is probably the team I want to face the least, because that defense is nasty, bro. That defense is nasty.
Yeah. My gut is telling me we're going to see I feel like a Rams-Broncos Super Bowl.
Ooh, okay.
Just what I saw from that Broncos defense was just so freaking incredible, a couple weeks ago.
Taking seeds out of consideration, what do you think the conference championship matchups are going to be, and then your Super Bowl matchups going to be? And I'm
Taking
putting you on the
seed.
spot.
Okay.
Like,
This
hey,
is
yeah, like it doesn't gonna matter. Maybe one time, maybe one matchup can't happen when the seeds come out. But what do you think?
Oh my God. I hate to say this. Actually, no, I'm not going to do it. I can't do it. I could see a Rams 49ers again in the NFC. I can definitely see that. And I think a fun matchup would be Jaguars Broncos.
I was thinking Jags Broncos in Mile High. And after Jacksonville just went there and curb stomped the Broncos this past weekend. And
if it's not the Packers, I just want entertainment at that point.
Oh, yeah. I could see the Bills trying to make a run. Josh Allen is kind of a robot, and he's playing MVP mode right now. In the NFC, I'd be hard-pressed to go against the Rams. Like, I think that and we didn't even talk about this game. This game kicked it all off. That Seattle-LA game on Thursday night was off the charts, brother. But that game did not tell me that Seattle's better than LA. It just told me they got a little lucky there at the end.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to watch. At least it'll be fun. And maybe
for somebody, it'll be fun for somebody.
It's always fun for one fan base. That's what you have to remember. And everybody else goes home crying. And I guess if you're a Browns fan,
we're always crying. I'll be a shoulder to cry on, brother.
Yeah, there you go. Well, maybe the Packers will make a run. We still got 2 weeks of football talk.
This December for me is mock drafts and who's going to be our next.
Mock drafts. All right. Mock draft season, baby. And listen, we're going to get into that too here in a little while. So
we sure will.
There's a lot to talk about. It never ends. And that's the beauty of the NFL. It never ends.
Best reality show of all time.
Yeah. I feel slightly better, so I guess we can call it a day. And you know what? Christmas is coming, and there's reason to be hopeful. Who knows? We'll see. That it's the NFL. You've said it multiple times. I'm going to start living it. It's a week by week league. It's a week by week league. So
week to week, man. It's never as good. It's never as good as you think. It's never as bad as you think. It's always somewhere in the middle there.
Well, Anthony, appreciate you. Andrew Kula, I'm here. Anthony's there. You're all out there on Packers Roundtable land watching. Thank you. We appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to you later.